Hey, this is Night Flame, and I'm here to review The Superior Spider-Man, issue number 31. This is the series finale, Goblin Nation conclusion, and Peter Parker was back last issue, so what did I think about this issue? Well, let's see what I thought. Okay, so this, like I said, was the last issue. A lot of things happened, and let's start off. Okay, so it begins with Peter Parker coming back. He confronts Carly about, you know, how Carly knows he's Peter Parker, and she's like, "Oh yeah, what do you want to talk to me about?" And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm Peter Parker, I'm back." And then he gives her reasons to believe him. She does, and she's like, "I'm glad you're back." But last time we saw Carly, she got hit by the antidote for the Goblin formula that makes her stop being a Goblin, and it doesn't look like it had an effect on her. I mean, it did, but she still it takes a long time to clear it out of her system, so she still has like the goblin eyes, and she sometimes has that laugh. So the whole issue, it's between he goes to help Miguel O'Hara, which is Superior Spider-Man 2099. Peter does, and he's like, "Oh, you came back," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm back because Doctor Octopus took over my body." So the whole issue, he explains to the people who knows like his real identity. He explains it to them. He apologizes. We know he does that to Miguel O'Hara. We got one with the Avengers. It wasn't a long one, but he was like, the Avengers were in trouble. He went to help them, and they were like, "Oh, Spider-Man, I thought you quit," and he was like, "I quit," and because he doesn't remember anything that happened. Otto Octavius really changed his life. His old like the only thing he had to do though was to save Anna Maria. Anna Maria was the love of Octavius's life, and Peter promised him that he was gonna save them. So in the issue, at the end of the issue, he fights Green Goblin, and he learns that Green Goblin, he changes like the faces of the people who are like in the lead of Alchemax. Um, he changes the faces to continue the heritage of his grandson. It looks like so like to continue the legacy of his grandson. So he does that, and which I thought was pretty interesting. Anna Maria ends up getting saved. We also see a little part with like how Peter says, "Oh yeah," because Anna Maria was falling out of the building. He's like, "Yeah, I know exactly how to save them when they're falling out of the building. Exactly which spots to get my web around in order to not to kill them, because we know he didn't know which spots to do it when Gwen was falling. Like she fought. It was when Peter fought Green Goblin. Gwen was falling. He didn't know which spots to hit, so he got Gwen Stacy died, and you see it still has an effect on Peter. It's something that defined him over the years, even though that death was like probably like I'm gonna say a long time ago, like maybe 50 years ago, around that. So we see that it still has an effect on him. It defines him as a character, which I think is pretty interesting. We see a lot of Gwen. I mean, Gwen still plays out in the story. Her death. At the end, he ends up saving Anna Maria. He ends up saving the Goblin too, and he hits him with a formula. And lastly, we see the Goblin. He's like, "Oh yeah, um, Peter Parker got me with the formula. I'm not the crazy psychopath now. Um, I'm the he's the smart Norman Osborn. He doesn't have that lunatic. He's not that lunatic anymore. He actually has his brain smarts, and he's more dangerous now because they're never gonna see him coming." And I thought it was really interesting. It changes the whole status quo completely for the Amazing Spider-Man series, which is gonna come out. And lastly, we have a little epilogue, which um he changes his wrongdoings. We know that Anna Maria really likes him, and I want to know how he's gonna solve that problem because Peter doesn't have any love connection with Anna Maria. Only Otto did, and we know I'm really like intrigued to see how he's gonna solve that problem. We also have um Kim have a conversation with Mary Jane, and Mary Jane's she quits like everything that she's done. She's like, "Oh yeah, Peter, I can't do this anymore. I'm always in danger." even though you don't want, and even though it's not your fault, I'm always in the middle of danger. Every single time something happens, I have to be involved in it because I'm part of your life. And she's like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm happy with my new relationship. I'm happy with my new life. And Peter understands that. He's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry that things like this happen to you. Um, and lastly, Carly has a conversation with Mary Jane, and she's like, "Oh yeah, even though you're not gonna be part of his life, the Balancers are still gonna come after you because you still live in New York and you're still like you still have a connection with them." And it's true. I really like how they touched on that. That everybody around Peter will always be in danger, no matter what. Even like since they became close friends with him, everybody's in danger. So that was pretty interesting. Carly's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave, cause I don't wanna be. I'm gonna leave to a quiet place, so I'm never involved to this. If you wanna be safe, if you don't wanna to be involved, then just leave New York. Cause if you stay in New York, everybody's just gonna come after you. And I like that. Everything about this issue was perfect. I know it's long. It's this long review, cause this was a long like series. I mean a long issue. So the verdict, I'm gonna give it to you right now. Even though I missed the Jonah Jameson part where um Peter goes talk to him, he apologizes to him, and he tells him to take control of his life. That was the last part I missed. And the verdict. This issue had everything good. Um, okay, I'm really liking it. The art was perfect. Everything about this was perfect. It all led up to this. Dan Slott just killed it with all of those other 30 issues, and it just led up to this. You guys know that um, Octavius did some choices that are gonna impact Peter's life in the long run, and I'm on board to see what's gonna happen. Dan Slott made this, and I'm really liking how he still has some of the things that like impacted Peter's life, like Gwen Stacy, how she's mentioned in the issue, and other things like people around him are always gonna be in danger. I enjoy that. This issue was perfect. I give it a 10 out of 10, and I'm excited for Amazing Spider-Man. So thanks for watching. Hope you like this video and subscribe to my channel, guys. Thanks.